warmer.
I want to see a snake.
No, I don't want to see it.
Snake?
Yeah.
Good.
Maybe come for you and buy.
Oh, look at this over there, crystals. Oh, wow. Nakulbaan ng usa.
So I usually start my tour down there, but we'll start up here today. So we're looking out over this beautiful big hole here, which is called a doline, which is really just a fancy word for a sinkhole. Makes me sound more intelligent. Doline, so you'll hear me say it a lot. But we know this used to have a roof over the top of it here. You would have been able to walk straight across there. There would have been trees growing across there. And we know that this roof here collapsed about 50,000 years ago. Okay, but the first people, and there's over 100 caves around here, and this is one of the more difficult ones to get into. So the next person we know came through this area was in 1867, and we had Frances Bussell, and we can read in her diary about her riding her horse through the bush here, and her horse stopped right on the edge of this thing here. But she didn't climb down into it either. She rode around the outside about and wrote about it and things like that. But it would have been quite hard to find it again. This would have been out in the middle of the bush. There was no caves road here really. So it was another 30 years until someone actually came back here in 1897. Tim Connolly and John Brockman came back and they did climb down into this hole. First ones that we know of.
Ang katugib nga ang gato ang kay chuchuy raman.
Chuy-chuy?
Careful kid.
Oh, nindot siya, oh. Mo ito ba tas ilalom ani?
Uy, peste, ang sa batong likray.
Ambot lang. Talawan. Abiro ko rin talawan. So, sponsor ni sa kong amiga guys, si Juniba. Sponsor niya. Kung why sponsor, di may makanhig cave. Undot kayo ko na ba picturean. As you can see guys, look guys. Uga pa siya tanawon, hindi pa siya kanagalinay. It's like sidrak.
We know, like I say, we know that this used to have a big roof over the top of it here, and we know that because we've got stalactites behind us here. Now, these stalactites, wind and rain and fire, right? Because we had a fire through this area nearly 2 years ago now. It was December 2021. And the fire started over near Mammoth Cave. It burnt about 8,000 hectares, burnt for about 2 weeks through this area. And the fire came down here into the Dolly. It burnt about 200 of our stairs. It burnt that platform up there that they're now rebuilding. It also set fire to that big tree that's leaning against the wall over there. The top of that snapped out and smashed through the viewing platform up the top there. So it caused a fair bit of chaos around the place. You know, the cave was shut for about 6 months whilst they rebuilt the stairs and things. But it did have some positive effects, this fire. Because before the fire, the water levels on inside the cave were slowly going down and down and down. Then we had the bushfire came through, and 10 months later, the water level started rising up by 1 to 5 centimetres a day. We didn't know when it was going to stop. It was really exciting. It was getting higher and higher, and people hadn't seen it that high for over 70 years. And that fire, what it did was burnt away a lot of the understory plants and so on. So the next rain that came through really got a chance to soak down through the limestone. And that the lake came up over 1 metre in 10 months. So it was amazing. So, you know, these fires do have positive effects as well. And also, you know, these big trees here, they need fire to be able to regenerate. These curry trees need the heat of a fire to open up their seed pod, and then the seed needs an ash bed to germinate in. So it's essential for the forest to have these fires, but also now know essential for the caves as well, the cave water and the things that live in the water. Now, this big curry tree over here that I was talking about before, Those kauri trees can grow to 80 metres tall and they can live for over 500 years. That tree there is around about 250 years old. But there is a really big log on the ground here that we're going to walk next to as we go down the stairs this way. That was growing here. It was a huge tree and it came to the end of its life in 2014. But we planted a new kauri tree here after the fire. So this one here is about 2 years old. So if you come back in 400 years, you'll see this one growing like one of those ones. So mark that in your diaries. Now, we know that this roof here probably collapsed because of trees. So trees would have been growing up there, sending their roots down through the limestone, but when the tree dies, the root dies, that rots away and it leaves a small hole. Then rainwater goes down that hole over tens of thousands of years, slowly making the hole bigger. Then if you have enough of those holes in the roof, then it just becomes unstable and collapses. So they say this one here collapsed about 50,000 years ago. So we just missed it. Been here right, let's keep moving, shall we? Because we're sitting here in the sun.
Ano mo laya? Bitin ba? Loh, kita layo pa kita sa tanan. Sila na dito sa ubos. Hey, kakuyaw ano yun? Kan mag-uwan ba? Hey, nangurog ko. Pistil. Ha? Ha? Yun, nanunsam ng gamay na. Nay, gamay ang hagdanan. Hala. So, ara siguro mila. Oo, na, ajud unay ni gawas. So, anaha daw ko numi guys ay kani siya ay. Kana siya, anaha mi agi na. Perting gamaya. Gamaya agianan. So, mauni ang cave diri guys sa lake cave. So, first time na kong niani sa cave sa Australia.
The elevator on the way out. Rightio, now we are going in on this path and we're coming out on the same path, so we can't get lost in this cave. We're going to head down just past that big column on the right hand side there. That's our first stop. Alright, let's head down, you guys. Yeah, that water's cold too, yeah?
Uy, nice, super nice, oh.
Stepped off the edge and this is very funny for everyone else. Not funny. We're waiting for those guys to come down. If you had come on my tour 10 months ago, there was no water on this side at all. All this water has arrived in the cave in the last 10 months. That's a lot of water there. Look how nice and clear it is too.
Yeah.
Beautiful, nice clean water.
I should bring swimsuit in here.
Alright. Now, first thing we want to talk about, guys, is up on the roof. Up here we've got stalactites, and we've got two different sorts. We've got long skinny ones, which are called straw stalactites, because they are hollow like a straw, and all stalactites start their life as a straw. Okay, then eventually you might get an increase in water or a blockage in the straw, and then water starts to run down the outside of the straw, and they start to thicken up and take on these more carrot shapes like this. Right? But when that stalactite drips, the drip will fall down, and directly underneath it, it forms a stalagmite. Then eventually, over time, the stalactite and the stalagmite join together and they become what's called a column, like these columns here. Now, this isn't the only type of stone we have in here. I'm going to talk about these columns in a moment. But over here, we've got stone called flowstone. Now, this doesn't drip into the cave, it seeps in through the wall. And here it seeped in through this wall, ran down this slope, and then ran across what was the floor to the cave at the time. So this would have been joined onto that bit over there. Then the water inside our stream here has dissolved the limestone in the bottom of the stream, leaving this flowstone table suspended in the air. So none of that is touching the bottom at all. It's only just touching the water just there, but it's probably about a foot above the bottom of the lake. So we wanted to know how heavy this thing was. It's hanging from the roof here. So we know how much calcite crystal weighs, so we've times it by the amount. Right. Now, it's got a big reveal for you here. Have a look at this. Look at that. This is what's called a straw shower, because these are the straw stalactites. They're hollow like a straw, and you can see there's a drip of water on the bottom of all these straws, because this is the most active growing cave in the area, and this is the most active spot, which is why it's so wet on the ground around us here. Really wet. So all these drips of water started their life up in the clouds as rain, and as it fell out of the clouds, it collected carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Then it hit the forest floor and slowly starts coming down through this limestone. So this limestone rock above our head here is like a big sponge, and it's full of water, and that water is dissolving calcium carbonate out of the limestone. Just 10 people. Imagine when it's 30 people. And as the water came down through, it picked up those tannins, brings it through and stains things. This is what gives us colour inside the cave. Otherwise it would just be lots of variations of white down here. Okay? Different plants have different coloured tannins, and that's why you can get a variation in colour as well. Now, look at that. How realistic does that look? That's where all the money goes, straight to the special effects.
Yeah, of course.
But also on a personal note, I want to thank everyone for coming along to Lake Cave today, because I love to bring people down here and show them this beautiful place. And like I say, hopefully I've inspired you to get out there and go and see all the other caves in the area. Oxygen again, it solidifies a tiny bit of calcite crystal on the end, making it a tiny bit longer. And when I say a tiny bit, these things are growing at a rate of about 1 centimetre every 100 years. Okay, so they're really slow growing. So, yeah, you know, guys, that's like this much every 100 years. It's a speck.
That water looks really yum.
It does, doesn't it? I know, that's what I thought the same thing. I was like, man, I want to taste that water. But then I looked in the bottom of it, there was a bunch of dead flies in the bottom of it, and I was like, yeah, I probably know what it
No,
tastes
thanks.
like. But they used to have low lives down there. But, you know, the other thing that I do love in this area here is, can you see this here? Does that look like a kangaroo and an emu standing next to each other? There's a couple of people looking at it, darling. So,
It does.
yeah. I don't know how that was formed, but it's very nice, that one.
Yeah.
I like how the kangaroo's even got an ear. Right, so, that's kind of cool, isn't it? Anyway, so,
Looked like somebody giving the bird from there.
yeah, that's right. Yes, you can use your imagination, all kinds of things there, darling, I think. All right, oh, you got drift on? Oh, that is your lucky day then, isn't it? All right, guys. So next thing we just want to have a look at is up here on the roof, and we've got some shawls going up here that I want you to have a look at as we.
Dylan, I got tricked so many times.
You should buy Loro then, Krista. You should buy Loro. Because you get dripped on so much.
Not old enough.